Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Gurudev, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Reading from Canto 1, Chapter 12, Text 1. Birth of Emperor Parikshit. The sage Shaunaka said the womb of Uttara, mother of the Parikshit Maharaj, was spoiled by the dreadful and invincible Brahmastra weapon released by Ashwatthama. But Maharaj Parikshit was saved by the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The sages assembled in the forest of Naimisharanya inquired from Sutta Goswami about the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, but in course of the narration, other topics like the release of Brahmastra by son of Drona, his punishment by Arjuna, Kunti Devi's prayers, the Pandavas' visit to the palace where Bhishma Dev was lying. Sorry. Was lying. His prayers and thereafter the Lord's departure for Dwarka were discussed. His arrival at Dwarka and residing with 16,000 queens, etc., were narrated. One second. Yeah. The sages were absorbed in hearing such descriptions, but now they wanted to turn to the original topic, and thus the inquiry was made by Shaunaka Rishi. So the subject of release of Brahmastra weapon by Ashwatthama is renewed. Text 2. How was the great Emperor Parikshit, who was highly intelligent and great devotee, born in that womb? How did his birth take place, and what did he achieve after his death? Srila Prabhupada's purport. The king of Hastinapur, now Delhi, used to be the emperor of the world. At least till the time of the son of Emperor Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit was saved by the Lord in the womb of his mother. So he would certainly be saved from an untimely death due to the ill will of the son of Brahmana. Because the age of Kali began to act just after the assumption of power of Maharaj Parikshit, the first sign of misgiving was exhibited in the cursing of such a greatly intelligent, devoted king as Maharaj Parikshit. The king is the protector of the helpless citizens and their welfare. Peace and prosperity depend on him. Unfortunately, by the instigation of the fallen age of Kali, an unfortunate Brahmana's son was employed to condemn the innocent Maharaj Parikshit, and so the king had to prepare himself for death within 7 days. Maharaj Parikshit is especially famous as the one who is protected by Vishnu, and when he was unduly cursed as Brahmana's son, he could have invoked the mercy of the Lord to save him, but he did not want to because he was a pure devotee. A pure devotee never asks the Lord for any undue favor. Maharaj Parikshit knew that the curse of Brahmana's son upon him was unjustified as everyone else, but he did not want to counteract it because he knew also that the age of Kali had begun, and the first symptom of age, namely degradation of the highly talented Brahmana community, had also begun. He did not want to interfere with the current of the time, but he prepared himself to meet death very cheerfully and very properly. Being fortunate, he got at least 7 days to prepare himself to meet death, so he properly utilized the time in the association of Srila Shukdev Goswami, the great saint and devotee of the Lord. Text 3. We all respectfully want to hear about him, Maharaj Parikshit, to whom Shukdev Goswami imparted transcendental knowledge. Please speak on this matter. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Srila Shukdev Goswami imparted transcendental knowledge to Maharaj Parikshit during the remaining 7 days of his life. And Maharaj Parikshit heard him properly, just like an ardent student. The effects of such a bona fide hearing and chanting of Srimad Bhavatam was equally shared by both the hearer and the chanter. Both of them were benefited. Out of the 9 different transcendental means of devotional service to the Lord prescribed in Bhagavatam, either all of them or some of them or even one of them are equally beneficial if properly discharged. Maharaj Parikshit and Shukdev Goswami were serious performers of first two important items, namely the process of chanting and the process of hearing, and therefore both of them were successful in the laudable attempt. Okay, Maharaj Shukdev was serious performers, two important items, namely the chanting and process of hearing. Okay, both of them were successful in laudable attempt. Okay. Transcendental realization is attained by such serious hearing and chanting and not otherwise. There is a type of spiritual master and there is a type of a spiritual master and disciple much advertised in the age of Kali. It is said that the master injects spiritual force into a disciple by an electrical current generated by the master, and the disciple begins to feel the shock. He becomes unconscious and the master weeps for his exhausting his store of so-called spiritual assets. Such bogus advertisement is going on in this age, and the poor common man is becoming the victim of such advertisement. We do not find such folk tales in the dealings of Srila Shukdev Goswami and his great disciple Maharaj Parikshit. Can I understand why it was like this? The sage recited Srimad Bhavatam in devotion, and the great king heard him properly. The king did not feel any shock of electrical current from the master, nor did he become unconscious while receiving knowledge from the master. One should not, therefore, become a victim of these unauthorized advertisements made by some bogus representative of Vedic knowledge. The sages of Naimisharanya were very respectful in hearing about Maharaj Parikshit because of his received knowledge from Shukdev Goswami by means of adherent hearing. Adherent hearing from the bona fide master is the only way to receive transcendental knowledge, and there is no need for for medical performances or occult mysticism for miraculous effects. The process is simple, but only the sincere party can achieve the desired result. Actually, this was Srila Prabhupada is talking about. You can still see it till this day in many places, and even a very famous person does this. Text 4. Shri Shuta Goswami said, Emperor Yudhishthir administered generously to everyone during his reign. He was exactly like his father. He had no personal ambition and was freed from all sorts of sense gratification because of his continuous service onto this lotus feet of the Lord Shri Krishna. Srila Prabhupada's purport. As mentioned in our introduction, there is need for the signs of Krishna in human society for all suffering humanity of the world, and we simply request the leading personalities of nations to take to the signs of Krishna for their own good, for the good of society and for the good of all people of the world. So it is confirmed herein by the example of Maharaj Yudhishthir, the personality of goodness. In India, the people hanker after Ram Rajya because the personality of Godhead was ideal king, and all other kings or emperor in India controlled the dynasty of the world for the prosperity of every living being who took birth on the earth. Hmm. Amazing. Herein the word paraja, paraja is significant. The etymological import of the word is that which is born. Just etymological. Etymological means, oh Krishna, an adjective relating to study of word origin, history, and development. Okay. Etymology. Okay. Import of the word is that which is born. Praja. Okay. That praja means that which is born. On the earth, there are many species of life, from the aquatics up to the perfect human beings, and all are known as praja. Lord Brahma, the creator of the particular universe, is known as the Prajapati because he is the grandfather of all who have taken birth. The praja is used in broader sense that is now used. The king represents all living beings, the aquatics, plants, trees, reptiles, birds, animals, and men. Every one of them is a part and parcel of Supreme Lord, PG 14.4. And the king, what is PG 14.4? Krishna, 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 Krishna. क्या हो गया सब फालतू चला लेते हैं ओके बीजी 14.4 is सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय मूर्तया संभवन्ति या तासां योनिर aham bija pratapita. Oh, aham bija pratapita. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed giving father. Okay. Every one of them is a part and parcel of Supreme Lord. And the king, being the representative of the Supreme Lord, is duty bound to give proper protection to every one of them. This is not a case with the presidents and dictators of demoralized system of administration where the lower animals are given no protection while the higher animals are given so-called protection. But this is a great science which can be learned only by one who knows the science of Krishna. By knowing the science of Krishna, one can know the most perfect man in the world. And unless one has knowledge in this science, all qualifications and doctorate diplomas acquired by academic educations are spoiled and useless. Maharaj Yudhishthir knew this science of Krishna very well. It is stated here that by continuous cultivation of science or by continuous devotional service to Lord Krishna, he acquired the qualification of administrating this state. The father is sometimes seemingly cruel to the son, but that does not mean that the father has lost the qualification to be a father. Okay, the father is sometimes cruel to his son, does not mean that a father has lost the qualification to be a father. A father is always a father because he always has the good of the son at heart. The father wants every one of his sons to become better. What is happening, Krishna? The father wants every one of his sons to become better men than himself. Therefore, a king like Maharaj Yudhishthir, who was the personality of goodness, wanted everyone under his administration, especially human beings who have better developed consciousness, to become devotees of the Lord Krishna so that everyone can become free from trifles of material existence. His motto of administration was all good for the citizens, for as personified goodness, he knew perfectly well that what is actually good for them. He conducted the administration on that principle and not on Rakshasi, Rakshasi, demoniac principle of sense gratification. Oh, so sense gratification principle is Rakshasi, demoniac. As an ideal king, he had no personal ambition and there was no place for sense gratification because all his senses at all times were engaged in loving service of the Supreme Lord, which includes the partial service to the living beings who form the parts and parcels of the complete whole. Those who are busy rendering service to the parts and parcel, leaving aside the whole, only small time and energy as one does when watering the leaves of a tree without watering the root. If water is poured on the root, the leaves are eliminated and leavened perfectly and automatically. But if water is poured on the leaves only, the whole energy is spoiled. Yudhishthir Maharaj therefore was constantly engaged in the service of the Lord, and thus the parts and parcels of the Lord, the living beings under his careful administration, were perfectly attended with all comforts in this life and all progress in the next. That is the way of perfect management of state administration. Text 5. Okay, please continue.
Text Y. Translation. News even reached the celestial planets about Maharaj Yudhishthir's worldly possessions. The sacrifices by which he would attain a better destination, his queen, his stalwart brothers, his extensive land, his sovereignty over the planet Earth, his fame, etc., purport by Srila Prabhupada. Only a rich and great man's name and fame are known all over the world. And the name and fame of Maharaj Yudhishthir reached the higher planets because of his good administration, worldly possessions, glorious wife Draupadi, the strength of his brothers Bhima and Arjuna, and his solid sovereign power over the world, known as Jambudvipa. Here, the word Loka is significant. There are different lokas or higher planets scattered all over the sky, both material and spiritual. A person can reach them by dint of his work in the present life, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 9.25. No forceful entrance is allowed there. The tiny material scientists and engineers who have discovered vehicles to travel over a few thousand miles in outer space will not be allowed entrance. That is not the way to reach the better planets. One must qualify himself to enter into such happy planets by sacrifice and service. Those who are sinful in every step of life can expect only to be degraded into animal life to suffer more and more the pangs of material existence. And this is also stated in Bhagavad Gita 16.19. Maharaj Yudhishthir's good sacrifices and qualifications were so lofty and virtuous that even the residents of the higher celestial planets were already prepared to receive him as one of them. Text 6. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings, and those who worship me will live with me. Bhagavad Gita 16.19. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence into various demoniac species of life. Text 6 translation. O Brahmanas, the opulence of the king was so enchanting that the denizens of heaven aspired for it. But because of he was absorbed in the service of the Lord, nothing could satisfy him except the Lord's service. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are two things in the world which can satisfy living beings. When one is materially engrossed, he is satisfied only by sense gratification. But when one is liberated from the conditions of the material modes, he is satisfied only by rendering loving service for the satisfaction of the Lord. This means that the living being is constitutionally a servitor and not one who is served. Being illusioned by the conditions of the external energy, one falsely thinks himself to be served, but actually he is not the served. He is servant of the senses like lust, desire, anger, avarice, pride, madness, and intolerance. When one is in his proper senses, by attainment of spiritual knowledge, he realizes that he is not the master of the material world, but is only a servant of the senses. At that time, he begs for the service of the Lord and thus becomes happy without being illusioned by so called material happiness. Maharaj Yudhishthir was one of the liberated souls, and therefore, for him, there was no pleasure in the vast kingdom, good wife, obedient brothers, happy subjects, and prosperous world. These blessings automatically follow a pure devotee, even though the devotee does not aspire from them for them. The example set herein is exactly suitable. It is said that one who is hungry is never satisfied by anything other than food. The whole material world is full of hungry living beings. The hunger is not for good food, shelter, or sense gratification. The hunger is for spiritual atmosphere. Due to ignorance, only they think that the world is dissatisfied because there is no sufficient food, shelter, defense, and objects of sense gratification. This is called illusion. When the living being is hungry for spiritual satisfaction, he is misinterpreted by material hunger. But the foolish leaders cannot see that even the people who are most sumptuously materially satisfied are still hungry. And what is their hunger and poverty? This hunger is actually for spiritual food, spiritual shelter, spiritual defense, and spiritual sense gratification. These can be obtained in association of Supreme Spirit, Lord Shri Krishna, and therefore one who has them cannot be attracted by so-called food, shelter, defense, and sense gratification of the material world. Even if they are relished by the denizens of the heavenly planets, therefore in Bhagavad Gita 18.16, it is said by the Lord that even in the topmost planet of the universe, namely the Brahmaloka, where the duration of life is multiplied by millions of years by earth calculation, one cannot satisfy his hunger. Such hunger can be satisfied only when the living entity is situated in immortality, which is attained in the spiritual sky, far, far above the Brahmaloka, in the association of Lord Mukunda, the Lord who awards his devotees the transcendental pleasure of liberation. 18.16 Bhagavad Gita. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Text 7 translation. O son of Brigu, Shaunaka, when the child Parikshit, the great fighter, was in the womb of his mother Uttara and was suffering from the burning heat of the Brahmastra thrown by Ashwatthama, he could observe the Supreme Lord coming to him. Purport by Sri Prabhupada. Death generally involves remaining in trance for 7 months. A living being, according to his own actions, is allowed to enter into the womb of mother by the vehicle of his father's semen, and thus he develops his desired body. This is the law of birth in specific bodies according to one's past actions. When he is awake from trance, he feels the inconvenience of being confined within the womb, and thus he wants to come out of it and sometimes, fortunately, prays to the Lord for such liberation. Maharaj Parikshit, while in the womb of his mother, was struck by his Brahmastra released by Ashwatthama, and he was feeling the burning heat. But because he was a devotee of the Lord at once appeared with himself within the womb of by his all-powerful energy, and the child could see the that someone else had come to save him. Even in the helpless condition, the child Parikshit endured the unbearable temperature due to his being a great fighter by nature. And for this reason, the word Veera had been used. Text 8 translation. He, the Lord, was only thumb high, but he was all transcendental. He had a very beautiful, blackish, infallible body, and he wore a dress of lightning yellow and a helmet of blazing gold. Thus he was seen by the child. Text 9 translation. The Lord was enriched with 4 hands, earrings of molten gold, and eyes blood red with fury. As he loitered about, his club constantly encircled him like a shooting star. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is said in the Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, that the Supreme Lord Govinda, by his one plenary portion, enters into the halo of the universe and distributes himself as Paramatma or the Supersoul, not only within the heart of every living being, but also within every atom of the material elements. Thus, the Lord is all pervading by his inconceivable potency. And thus he entered the womb of Uttara to save his beloved devotee Maharaj Parikshit. In the Bhagavad Gita 9.31, the Lord assured everyone that his devotees are never to be vanquished. No one can kill a devotee of the Lord because he is protected by the Lord, and no one can save a person whom the Lord desires to kill. The Lord is all powerful, and therefore he can both save and kill as he likes. He became visible to his devotee Maharaj Parikshit even in that awkward position in the womb of his mother, in a shape just suitable for his vision. The Lord can become bigger than thousands of universes and can become smaller than an atom at the same time. Merciful as he is, he becomes just suitable to the vision of the limited living being. He is unlimited. He is not limited by any measurement of our calculation. He can become bigger than what we can think of, and he can become smaller than what we can conceive. But in all circumstances, he is the same all powerful Lord. There is no difference between the thumb like Vishnu in the womb of Uttara and the full fledged Narayana in the Vaikuntha Dham, the kingdom of the god. He accepts the form of Archa Vigraha, worshipable deity, just to accept service from his different incapable devotees. By the mercy of Archa Vigraha, the form of the Lord in material elements, the devotees who are in the material world can easily approach the Lord, although he is not conceivable by the material senses. The Archa Vigraha is therefore a all spiritual form of the Lord to be perceived by the material devotees. Such a Archa Vigraha of the Lord is never to be considered material. There is no difference between matter and spirit for the Lord. Although there is gulf of difference between the two in case of conditioned living beings. For the Lord, there is nothing but spiritual existence. And similarly, there is nothing except spiritual existence for the pure devotee of the Lord in his intimate relation with the Lord. Text 12.10. Translation. The Lord was thus engaged in vanquishing the radiation of the Brahmastra, just as the sun evaporates a drop of dew. He was observed by the child who thought he was about who he was. Text 11. Translation. While thus being observed by the Lord, by the child, the Supreme Lord personality of Godhead, the super soul of everyone, and the protector of the righteous, who stretches in all directions and who is unlimited by time and space, disappeared at once. Purport by Okay.